Hello, welcome to Python 360. We're looking at developer jobs in the UK, December 2022. Now, I say developer because what I want to do is compare some Python jobs and Rust jobs, not just salaries, but that will be what we will start with. So let's look at some of the salaries for Rust developer jobs. Why am I talking about Rust when it's a Python channel? Very good question. Well, I think it's just good to understand where in the marketplace your main language is. So if you're a Python developer, you just need to be aware of what the potential opportunities are or threats. So we've got in the UK, Rust developer NFTs. Now, I'm trying very hard not to go off on this on a tangent here because I actually am very into Bitcoin, but I think NFTs will come to a bad ending. But however, if you want to work for a company in California, how many zeros? You can earn £250,000 a year coding Rust. So anyway, I think that's not actually a UK job anyway, so that's a bit of a red herring. Let's look at a more relevant one. So the derivatives exchange platform, UK, 120 to 160,000. These salaries are absolutely ridiculous, and I don't think they are reflective of the reality in general. I think these are just sort of headline grabbing ones. So there we go. Let's look at a more realistic job. Software engineer, C++, Rust, Go. So we will get back to Python in a minute, I promise. So 40 to 50,000 pounds a year, based in Reading, which is, for those of you outside the UK, Reading is effectively the Silicon Valley of the UK. It's on the M4, which is the motorway leading into London. My innovative, exciting startup based in Oxford. Well funded, well backed, Rust developer, C++ and Go. Minimum of 2 years experience of software engineering, preferably with Rust, C++ or Go. Okay, an MSc in computer science. That's a master's degree in computer science, and the salary is 40 to 50,000 pounds. I think we've gone from one extreme to the other here, actually. So let's go back to the search results. That's ridiculous. That's such a low salary for somebody with a master's degree in computer science. So let's just look at one more of these really. I'm not doing this for clickbait, for clicks, honestly. This is just for, I don't know, just for, can't think of the correct word, but it's let's just see what see what madness is going on out there. And it appears to be not opening, so is it still loading? Blockchain deployment firm. So basically, this is a lot of companies, and be very wary of ever investing in any of these sort of projects. Blockchain, Bitcoin was the first, the best, and it will ultimately be the only one when all the others go to zero. But by the look of it, people are writing internal and external Rust APIs. So Web3, if you don't know what Web3 is, it's basically all to do with applications on top of the blockchain. So yeah, your NFTs and your smart contracts and so on. Working fully remote with 100% Rust backend stack, Kubernetes, Docker. Okay, so that I'm just really showing that there are some ridiculously high salaries out there for jobs other than Python. So it may be that you're learning Python, but you're learning Python because you want to learn computer science, and Python is quite an accessible way to begin. And you might have one eye on what you will do once you've got a good grounding with Python. So yeah, that's one consideration you may have. Let's go back to Python and last time in the November video I commented that many jobs are now going back to hybrid. And hybrid is all very well. Here we go, work from home, permanent contract. So just because they mention work from home, that's 80 compared to 82 versus 123. Work from home now has gone back to kind of, I would say it's averaging 2-3 days a week work from home. Seems to be the general trend. Problem is that many jobs are actually based in London, and or for instance, this one I think was Scotland. All very well, but if you need to get a train or an aeroplane or something just to go to the office for the mandatory 1 day a week, that will make a big dent in your income. So my client, public sector organisation, have engaged in large digital transformation. That's actually, yeah, here we go. Monthly visit. So you've got different types of work from home. You've got work from home 100%, which you just saw, the Rust developer job. You've got fully remote, but in brackets, monthly visit. And then you've got hybrid, which is typically 1 day a week in the office, or possibly even 2 or 3 days a week in the office. So Python developer automation, if you're a big fan of this channel, you might think that would be just up our street, but AWS, not really a fan of AWS. I've tried Google Cloud and I've got an Oracle OCI certification, but AWS makes it... To be honest with you, I tried AWS again recently, and I ended up getting billed because I'd used something called Light Sail, or I'd accidentally left Light Sail turned on. So they billed me about $28 for not even using it for a month, and all I was doing was just doing some of their tutorials. Anyway, that's enough of a rant about AWS. They don't care what I think, and probably nor do you really. So yeah. GCP, I've just found much nicer to do the tutorials, much nicer to work with Python and with their APIs. So I've got a bit of a bias, but part of that is based on experience. I gave them all equal chance. Oracle OCI, nothing wrong with that. Just I would say there's many less, or there's much fewer opportunities if you specialize in OCI compared to AWS as your GCP. So what else have we got here? It's all London, isn't it? Cochrane Park, Berkshire. Let's look at this one. So hybrid, 2 days a week. I'm not actually looking for these jobs for myself, but I just want to kind of give you a flavour for what's out there. So senior Python developer, full stack, backend Python, Django, Flask, Pyramid. ORM, object relational mapping, HTML5, JavaScript, knowledge of .NET. So yeah, it seems like Microsoft, the world of Microsoft and the world of open source are gradually kind of, the boundaries have blurred over the past year or two. Not saying that's a good or a bad thing. Geospatial Python developer, that sounds interesting. GIS, Global Information Systems. 40 to 50,000 pounds. That's probably a acceptable salary for what they're asking for, I would say. Rare opportunity for an experienced commercial software developer with Python programming experience to join our expert team and help us combat flooding. I don't think you'll combat flooding with maps. I think you might be able to run away from flooding. Here we go. Free office refreshments. So that's not to be sniffed at. Equity stake in the company. That's admirable. I think to put your heart and soul in your life's effort into a company, it's nice to have a share in the business and in its success. I wish more companies were like that. I think that's possibly another trend. So yeah, it's good to keep looking at these every month, and then you do just get a feel for some of the emerging trends. I'm working with a leading education technology company with offices across the UK. Okay, Django, REST. So again, it's often Python will be mentioned in the adverts or the postings or the listings, whatever you want to call it. But Python is sometimes just show up because it's a keyword. And really, what are they? It says back end with some front end work involved. Up to £60,000, is fully remote. Python gRPC, that's Google. Oh yeah, Google Cloud Platform. So you don't have to commit to AWS. Continuous integration server and pipeline GitHub Actions. Okay, so 50 to 60, fully remote. Let's just choose something really random. Let's just choose one in. We always look at London and Cambridgeshire. Seems to be where a lot of the jobs are. I know we looked at one in Scotland, but let's look at one in Yorkshire. They're often probably Leeds, I would guess. West Yorkshire, Leeds. Python tech startup. 40 to 45, I would say that's probably about right. That's about the going rate. Would you be interested in joining ambitious tech startup at ground level and learning from software industry veterans who have over 20 years in the software engineering tech world? 2 days per week in the office. Yep. Java, C#, O, PHP, JavaScript, Golang, Ruby as your fundamental software engineering practices. Solid, you can actually write a line of code, then that's the important bit. TypeScript, React.js is so yeah, some of these tech stacks are quite divisive because if you don't really like TypeScript or Azure or it's not your thing, then yeah, it's if you're on the wrong what's the saying? Yeah, if you're on the wrong bus, you need to get off your current bus and then get on a different bus. So yeah, I don't know. I think in some ways it's better to carve out your niche and sort of stick with it. Depends on the state of your career and how how much of a career, sort of how much of a chameleon you are, how much you're prepared to kind of change what you are and what you do just to fit in with the company. MOD, not really my thing, but that's my bias. 50,000. So again, getting a field at 45, 50,000 is pretty much kind of like the going rate for a no disrespect, but to kind of like a run-of-the-mill mid-level software engineer. Bournemouth, nice part of the world. You can be remote, but must be UK based. But you must be able to travel to Bournemouth at certain times throughout the year. Travel's covered. That's another thing to look at. Is travel covered when you look at a role? Desirables, PHP, Laravel, QGIS. QGIS is GIS is cropping up 2 or 3 times. I think that if you know Python, then GIS is probably a good thing to add to that skill if you want to ultimately end up staying as a Python developer, Python software engineer, APIs of Flask, Postgres, AWS, 45,000. Cutting edge IoT, that's Internet of Things, so that's obviously connected devices. Scalable projects to track and monitor performance of ships and vessels. Obviously, Bournemouth is by the coast, on the south coast, on the English Channel, so yeah, a maritime theme to that one. So if you immediately fast offer, and here we have some similar searches. So Django, Python, data science, backend. So there we go. Software engineer, Cheltenham. That's probably MO5. MO5 is kind of like I better not even say that I might get deplatformed or might get flagged up as being controversial if I say what I was about to say. But thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with something else. But for now, that's December's look at the jobs market for Python and Rust in the UK. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again.